Hope everybody's doing well out here in Lake George on the lake. Just want to lift this up a bit if I can. Perfect. Beautiful weather and enjoying Mother Nature. A few years ago, as I sit in this particular spot, was the same place that I did a shamanic drumming circle or a journey itself, and behind me in the tree was a golden eagle that landed in this particular area. So something very fascinating for me that took place. Just want to make sure I'm heard here. Okay. And it was an interesting event that took place for me, kind of like an emotional opening for my life. It made me show the synchronicities that exist for us, for ourselves and for others, in terms of when we think of certain things of what can take place. It was an interesting concept. Today what I'd like to discuss is the shamanic journey number 55 to unconditional love, and our understanding that we are having experiences and learning and evolving each week. And as I look at the subject of unconditional love, I think about the experiences that I've had and some of the conditions that I had to experience, like many of us have had with parents. And it shouldn't have been that way, right? We should, as children, have or receive unconditional love. And from my perspective, that unconditional love exists between a parent and child, where a parent teaches a child, and naturally there should be conditions where you have room to teach and the child should then learn to grow. Sometimes it doesn't work that way, right? Sometimes we as children experience certain conditions that put us in a position of losing out on certain aspects of ourselves. And it's different, right? It's different being a child as opposed to being an adult and being in a relationship. But from the standpoint of being a child, we really go through unconditional, we shouldn't go through conditional things. We should experience or receive unconditional love. But as we do grow up and we go through this path of ours, there are certain things that we need to experience or teach ourselves so that we can first love ourselves. So without any self-love, it's difficult for us to then go through our lives and have healthy relationships. And so when we hold ourselves personally accountable for our own actions, right, when we forgive ourselves, and when we evolve and try to make ourselves better, having boundaries in place, knowing that we don't have to be 100% perfect, and that we're more accepting of ourselves, then we learn to be in a state of living a place of unconditional circumstances, which means it gives us the opportunity to then realize that when we seek relationships, we don't look for relationships that are perfect, that have no boundaries, that experience this immature conditional love. And in having relationships, we don't have to stay in relationships that have conditions, right? We can get out of these conditions. We can set boundaries with other people. And when things don't work out perfectly for us, we can get out and move on to a different relationship. It's a different dynamics when we're in a relationship with our children. So being a parent involves different responsibilities. It involves us being in the lives of a child, teaching them what's right and wrong. And there comes a point in time when a child then becomes an adult where we sometimes no longer can excuse certain behavior from someone. But nonetheless, as parents, it's somewhat of our responsibility to teach them the right way from the onset. Of course, we're going to make mistakes. But if we do a good job of teaching boundaries, of teaching self-love, by being the example, right? By showing forgiveness, then we somehow are giving the child a foundation for things that can help them endure situations in their lives. But if that's not the case, right, then we have to go on in our own lives and learn ways of dealing with certain things that we're certainly going to face. And so today what I wanted us to look at was for us to try to drop any conditions towards ourselves And then in retrospect, what will happen is that hopefully we'll able to then displace those positive emotions that we help with ourselves onto other people in relationships and in dealing with mostly ourselves. And so the subject today is unconditional love, and how we can have unconditional love for ourselves, or we can have unconditional love in relationships that we respect and want to thrive in, but also have set boundaries and put people in certain places where things work out better. All right, so what I'd like to do today is try to find a person or a situation in your life that beckons you to either re-examine the relationship and look at things that can lend itself where you can use some concept of unconditional love, right? Or not, depending upon what is necessary for you. So what I'd like to do is go on a guided journey and ask your spirit animal, again, what relationship requires either unconditional love or somewhat of a reevaluation of the way you've been handling certain things with somebody. Okay, so take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. And if you can cover your eyes and get into a comfortable place and just relax, that would be great. And let's go on our journey. We walk into a forest. To the left and right, covered in oak and pine trees. And as we walk into this forest, we hear the water that crashes on the side, coming from the lake. Take a deep breath in, and we smell the fresh pine. And as we walk this path, up ahead is a cave. Sandy cave filled with pine needles beneath our feet. And as we enter the cave, we hear the crashing water in the background, splashing by the side of the lake. And we make it into the cave, looking for the light. And as we go into the cave, we come out the other side. And on the other side, straight ahead of us, on a path, is a spirit animal. What animal do you see? You ask this animal, what relationship do I need to reevaluate based upon the conditions or unconditional love that exists? And you listen for the answers. Thank the spirit animal for the information that was passed on. And you head back into the cave. You look for the light. And you find your way out. Back onto the sandy pine needle path, with the lake waves crashing on the shore as you walk back. You take a breath and you smell the pine needles, the scent of pine. And you head back. And as you walk, you stop in front of an oak tree. And you put your arms around the oak tree. And you exchange the energy as it absorbs the positive ions and grounds you. You look up to the tree and thank it. You are both one. You release your hands and you walk out of the forest. Well, as we explore unconditional love, we can understand the concept of the conditions that we've been programmed in our lives to live under. But as we come into this growth, personal growth, and we evolve, we understand that we are in control of our own destiny. And that if we question our own lives and the way we look at ourselves and we exhibit either the self-love or the unconditional love towards ourselves, then that will emanate to other people and the people that we come into contact with. So it's important for us to hold ourselves accountable, to forgive ourselves, and to love ourselves, even despite the shortcomings that we have. We're not perfect, and we cannot hide the imperfections. In fact, it's okay not to be perfect. We all have our own flaws, and to understand them is our own personal strength. And so hopefully this week you're able to love yourselves unconditionally, because it starts with ourselves, and then it will then, reverberate outside of ourselves to the people in our lives. So try to think about the ways that we've been conditioned and the ways that we want to start loving ourselves unconditionally. Okay, have a great week, and thank you for joining me.